Oh, hi guys, how you doing? Mick here, over in the Bourbon Shed. That's right, today we're talking about Prohibition. More importantly, we're talking about Repeal Day. So let's talk a little bit about what happened. How did they get into Prohibition? If you don't know, it's an interesting story, but it was really had a lot to do with the woman, the wives sitting at home, waiting for their husbands to come home. So their husbands were getting into work. There was a little bit of a boom in the economy. Now they were all finishing work, going down to the bar, drinking away all their wages, coming home drunk. If their woman complained, there was a little bit of a abuse going on, so it was not a good time for a lot of reasons. It was, you'd think about what they drank back then, you should see statistically it was way more than people drink today. It wasn't controlled drinking. They were completely out of control. So anyway, the I think it was temperance groups started up, and they started going against it, and they had some religious groups in there, and then they also had a lot of pressure on the government. So the government, there was a particular bloke that really got on board, and he really started politicking and really pushing everybody against it. And so anyway, the government was looking at this, and they were like, man, 40% of our income, 40% of the government income came from alcohol tax. So you think they were on board with that? Come on now. The government, they weren't that much different back then, man. They needed their money to exist. So anyway, that was not going to happen. So somebody came up with this brilliant idea. I mean, just absolutely brilliant. Let's put in an income tax. So that's where they started the income tax. And once they had income tax, they weren't reliant on the alcohol tax. And then they could get behind it, and they could do prohibition and ban alcohol sales. So it was really like big alcohol sales, industrial alcohol sales. You could actually make alcohol in your house. You could, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but they would put like cornflakes, which is, obviously some sort of, what is it? Grain, right? So cornflakes are grain. So they'd put that in their bathtub, and they'd make alcohol out of it. Believe it or not. Look it up. It's a true story. Me, on the other hand, if I'm making alcohol, I'm going to get some good Alabama moonshine, man, like this stuff here. Look at that. If I lit that stuff there, I promise you the flame would be as blue can be. But we're not going to burn this one here. This barrel is a 5-liter barrel, and it was filled up with some of Alabama's finest moonshine. That's right. I'm going to show you. So you saw how clear this is, right? Look at that. So we'll just pour a little bit of this moonshine in here. Now, I can tell you it's over 50% corn. In fact, it's probably 100% corn moonshine, I would think. So this is from a friend. I know this is real. Look at the color in that. Right, so this is what I'd call a light whiskey. Look at that. It's got some char in there. This is truly unfiltered. Char 4 barrel. It's got to be light whiskey because it's not a new charred new oak. It's actually a used barrel. It was from a distillery that actually used this. So anyway, I put that moonshine in there, and it's been about 8, 9, 10 months. I guess it's just vanilla. It's not dark. It's light vanilla, sweet, syrupy. Get a little bit of maple syrup, like a light maple syrup in it. So, all right. So you'll never get to try this because it's a one-off. Or if you join our reserve, you may our special reserve group. Anyway, we won't make any promises. I'll try this and I'll tell you about it. Just like a true speakeasy. Boy, that's got a little heat to it on the tongue. It's got a little spice to it. It's got no rye in there. So that's got to be the ethanol spice. There it goes down. There she goes, like a good moonshine. It goes down and it just sits there, and then it comes right up. The heat just builds and comes back up. Baby, that's good. So what we're talking about? We're talking about making illegal alcohol. So that's what they were doing. And then the next thing that happened, because people couldn't get their hands on the alcohol, was organized crime, man. It just blew up. It was out of control. People like Uncle Mick over here, the gangster. That's right. But I'm not going to shoot you. They went out bootlegging, distributing alcohol, and they were making a whole lot of money. The gangs got pretty tight. Organized crime, of course, they had government officials, they had the police, sheriffs, everybody involved, so they were pretty well protected. So that was what really gave organized crime a big kickoff. You heard of old Scarface up in Chicago and those guys there. That all started around Prohibition. So things were supposed to get a whole lot better. Now, crime did drop, domestic abuse dropped, murders dropped. So during this time, it did do a lot of those things. A lot of things improved, but then with the opposite side, with the organised crime and that, and I don't know that if you weighed the two up, was it really that good? And then the country was looking at getting involved in the World War, so the US was kind of like, man, we're kind of getting strapped for cash over here. We're going to need some extra money. So out comes the Repeal Act, right? So they repealed it. It was Law 21, and they completely repealed it, and it's the only one that they've ever done that on. So alcohol went back into sales, but it must have been a fun time to have all those speakeasies back in the 20s to 30s. 1933, December 5th. So December 5th coming up, and that's the day, the Repeal Day, and that's when share a drink like this one here. The Old Forester 1920. It's Prohibition style, so it's made like it was back in the 1920s, is what they're saying with that. And then there's this one here, a little bit over 60. That's the Remus Repeal batch. It's a little over 60, which leads me to the next thing, the hashtag Special Reserve. So in remembrance of Prohibition and Repeal Day, we've got this thing right now where we keep saying hashtag Special Reserve. So hashtag Special Reserve on the top of your post will allow you to keep it in there. And we're kind of joking around that it's like a speakeasy. You got to have the right password. I mean, we don't want people getting in here that don't have the right password. So use the hashtag Special Reserve. And the reason we chose that hashtag is we've started a second group. And the second group is Bourbon Life Nation Special Reserve, because a lot of people kind of want to post those bottles that they find that are a little bit over $60. Some of them are a lot over $60, and we see them sneaking back in. And we want to keep Bourbon Life under 60. We want to keep it pure for what it was, and that's people starting out in the bourbon world, people that just want to, not flex, but just share that $20 bottle they picked up. Here's another one, the 1910, that's under 60. But the Old Forester, the Wild Turkey, but those things that you get under 60. So I want to keep that pure. So we started up another site called Special Reserve, but we want to make Special Reserve more than just another site. So we've started chats in there. There's a lot of chats. We're doing stuff like this. We'll get on a group call. We'll get on it live. We'll share a bottle. Everybody might start drinking 9020. They might start drinking Eagle Rare, E.H. Taylor, or who knows what we're drinking, man. We got some Barton, Nulu, things that you may not have heard of. So it's $5 a month. It's not a whole lot of money there. Jump on there if you're interested in learning more about the higher tier bourbons, the stuff that's not your everyday stuff, and jump on there with us. Get involved in some chats. We are looking at getting some t-shirts, getting some glasses with Special Reserve on them, like some Glencairns that you can get hold of and stuff, and t-shirts. And the big thing is we want to really approach some distilleries, because the site's growing pretty big. We can get hold of some distilleries, and we can get some really good deals on some nice barrels, like maybe a Four Roses or Old Forester single barrel. I mean, who knows what we can get out there. New Riff, and we can name it after the group, and we can get that out to the group. So if you want to do that, that'd be really, really cool. Come join us. Let me just check the time here. We're over 10 minutes, so all right, Mick, speak quickly and speak quietly, because we're in the speakeasy. We don't want to be in here too long and get caught. So cheers to everybody. Come and join us on the Special Reserve, and don't forget hashtag Special Reserve. That's right, Bourbon Life Nation, baby. Thanks for joining me in the speakeasy today. Good night.